Dogs roll on their back all the time, and maybe you see this with your own dog when you come home, your dog's saying hello to you, or maybe you open the door, they go running out in the backyard, they throw themselves on the grass, roll on their back. A dog rolling on their back is a very common, normal, natural dog behavior most of the time. Context matters a lot. Where and when the dog rolls on their back actually tells us humans a lot about how the dog is feeling and helps us to understand what they're trying to communicate to us. So today we're going to go over all the good and the bad reasons that dogs roll on their back. One of the most common reasons that dogs roll on their back is because they have an itch and they got no other way to scratch it. Dogs don't got arms, they can't be reaching back there scratching their own itch. So what they do is they throw themselves on the back and they kind of do that motion where they go back and forth, itching their back. Different surfaces offer kind of unique sensations to the dog when they're rolling on it. So when a dog is rolling on grass, it feels different than when they're rolling on sand, to when they're rolling on gravel, or maybe like a hardwood or tile floor. As far as the actual cause of why they're itching in the first place, usually it's one of two things, either an allergy or a flea or tick issue. If your dog's itching because of an allergy, there's two types you want to look for. Either is it a seasonal allergy, something like pollen, for example, or is it something related to their food. And if your dog's not on flea and tick medication, then that's something also that you've got to take into consideration. Is my dog got fleas? Has he been bit? Is that why he's itching? Oftentimes when a dog is on their back because it's an itch, you'll often hear them have vocalizations. Be kind of growling, moaning as they're kind of itching back. Something like that. That's kind of a sign that to the dog is saying, hey, I got an itch and oh, this feels good. Sometimes dogs will roll on their back because they're trying to either leave their scent on something or they're trying to mask their own scent. Oftentimes you'll see the dog do this when they're in a new area. Maybe you take them to the dog park or you're out for a walk and all of a sudden the dog stops and sniffing the grass and then boom, plops over, starts rubbing their back. It's their way of either leaving their scent and trying to mark and say, hey, this is my territory, or they found something that they think smells good and they're trying to hide their scent. The theory behind why dogs would want to roll on something that kind of smells to us humans not so great, like dead animals, is that it's an adaptive behavior that when they were used to have to hunt and dogs were not domesticated, that it would help them to hunt by hiding their scent. Other animals couldn't detect them. When a dog's rolling on their back to leave their scent rather than hide their scent, oftentimes you'll see urinating, marking happen at the same time. When a dog smells another dog's urine, there's so much information that they can tell just from the scent alone. They can tell whether the dog was male or female, whether the other dog has been neutered or spayed, and even whether the other dog is in heat or not, just by smelling the urine. Now, maybe you've seen your dog roll on their back when they meet another dog. And this is a submissive behavior, and it's a way that dogs communicate to other dogs, hey, I'm not a threat. Don't be scared of me. I'm not going to do anything to you. It's kind of like a human putting their hands up in the air. This is where one of the biggest misconceptions comes from when it comes to dog training. The whole idea of the alpha role. There's people and trainers that will tell you when a dog is doing something bad, you take them and you roll them and you hold them on their side. You hold them there and you force them to stay there until they calm down. And they'll try to justify this by saying, oh, that's what dogs do. Dogs will alpha roll each other, put each other on their back to show each other who's in charge. And this could not be further from the truth. Dogs do not use force, and dogs never, ever, ever roll another dog onto their back to show dominance or to make the other dog submit. What happens is the dog that is the submissive dog voluntarily rolls on their back on their own. Anybody that tells you you should be physically rolling your dog on their back to show anything, some sort of dominance, that you're the leader, anything along those lines, is about 30 years outdated in the research. By the way, guys, if you're enjoying this video, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. When your dog meets a new person, or even maybe they're just saying hello to you when you've come home from your day from work or whatever you were out doing, and you come home and they roll on their back. This is a way that the dog is saying, hey, I'm really comfortable with you, and is kind of trying to greet you. A dog that's very anxious or nervous, you will not see do this. In fact, you see the opposite. They'll kind of crouch down, get as low to the ground as possible because they're trying to protect their belly. Dogs know that their most vital areas they have to protect are both their neck and their bellies. So whenever a dog actually rolls on their back and shows you that, that means that dog's got a lot of trust in you. Or if it's the dog meeting a stranger, that owner's done a very good job socializing that dog, because that dog's not afraid. Again, context matters. So when the dog is coming up to you or coming up to a person, you want to look for a few other signs as well that lets us know that, hey, this dog is happy and is trying to greet us. A wagging tail, a wiggly butt, and relaxed eyes and ears are all things you'll see with a dog who's happy to see you. Now, a dog rolling on their back can also be a sign of play. A dog rolls on their back, it's their way of saying, hey, hi, Let's play. This is one of the way that dogs' personalities kind of come out, because you'll notice not all dogs play this way. And if you ever are having your dog play with another dog, you're at the dog park, you got another dog at your house that's just playing with your dog, a dog that's willing to play like that with another dog, it's such a good sign of a confident dog. Because again, that belly is a very sensitive area. Dogs know they gotta protect it. Now, just like us humans have people that we like and we really like, and then people we're not really crazy about, dogs develop the same thing with other dogs. You might notice that when you go to the dog park, for example, there's certain dogs your dog always runs up to, and then maybe there's certain dogs your dog is not crazy about. Pay attention next time, and when your dog is playing with these other dogs, try to pay attention to see it. Does your dog actually roll over on their belly only with certain dogs? With other dogs, you don't see it as much or at all. It's pretty common that when dogs are with another dog they're super comfortable with, you're much more likely to see this behavior. Now, we gotta talk about medical issues, because there are some huge red flags and reasons that dogs can be rolling on their back because there's something really wrong with them. One of the first things that comes to mind is the dog has a urinary tract infection. And when the dog has that kind of pain going on down there, they roll on their back, and you'll kind of see sometimes they roll their upper back, but in this situation, you're more likely to see them moving their lower back and forth, right? Closer to their back legs. And they know that there's some pain going on there. So the theory is that by kind of doing that motion of rolling on their back there, they're trying to figure out how to relieve the pain. Any kind of gastrointestinal discomfort, it's very similar reasoning. The dog, again, that area is painful. So they're trying to rub and kind of roll around, see if maybe they can get some relief. If you have an older dog, and sometimes younger dogs that have injuries, but more likely older dogs, you gotta take into consideration, is there an orthopedic issue, like maybe hip dysplasia or arthritis? Dogs that have those conditions will sometimes roll on their back because they're trying to relieve the pressure. Maybe laying on their side hurts too much, maybe laying on their stomach hurts too much, so they flop on their back to try to get some relief from whatever that pain is. Ear infections are something you might not think about right away, that, oh, my dog's rolling on their back, he must have an ear infection. But very often you'll see this in a combination. The first thing the dog will do is they'll kind of put their head on the ground and they'll start rubbing their head on the ground first. And then the next step is to kind of flip onto their back and do that as well, rolling in that little motion. Again, in the dog's mind, it's their attempt to relieve that discomfort. Now, lastly, neurological issues. And this is where context really matters. If all of a sudden your dog, just for no apparent reason, starts rolling on their back, then there could be potentially, especially if you have an older dog, something going on in the dog's brain. And the best thing to do is go to the vet, have them check them out. So when it comes to dogs rolling on their back, the most important thing is the context of the situation. If the dog is with another dog and they're playing and they're rolling on their back, hey, that's a great thing. That's a happy, confident dog. But if the rolling on the back ever becomes an excessive behavior, you start seeing it kind of pop out of nowhere, and then you see that behavior happening a lot, it could be a sign that, hey, maybe there's something wrong. Maybe something medical, maybe it's an allergy, and it's a good idea to get it checked out.